You guys already know this, but I'll say it again anyway. If you haven't already seen our most recent short film, check it out now. Spoilers ahead. Anyway, here's how we made In the Walls. Every once in a while, we get the urge to tell more of a complete story. One where we can focus more so on character and story, and not so much rely only on VFX or monster makeup. We both loved the idea of something living inside the walls, and thought a lot about how we could shoot that inside our own apartment. We even considered building our own wall with 2 giant sheets of plywood, so we could get some shots inside the wall, or have the main character stick her head through, but that seemed like way too much work and didn't really enhance the story. We wanted to keep things simple, relying more so on dialogue, sound, and simple practical effects we could do around the house. We eventually settled on the idea of building our own vent instead, which I think came out pretty well, and I'll talk about how we did that in just a second. Once we decided the entire story would be told over a FaceTime call between the main character and her therapist, Victoria wrote the first draft. The entire script was around 7 pages, much longer than any of our other short films.
This script was a challenge. After Aaron and I settled on the something in the walls concept, the first challenge was dreaming up ways to make our modern apartment feel cold and eerie. A lot of the creep factor comes from the way the main character is feeling, so the next challenge was to figure out how she can communicate this growing fear, which means the script needs dialogue. If you watch our other shorts, you know that we lean on the silent side of short films, mostly because of our available resources. We have a great mic, but lack the manpower, especially during COVID times. We settled on the FaceTime therapy session, which I love because we both got to see the characters interacting in the same space, and audio is a bit easier to capture when your subject is sitting still. It also lends for the therapist to ask the obvious question, why doesn't she just leave? Which is the horror writer's Rubik's Cube to solve. You might notice that we're always thinking of what we can physically achieve when we're writing our short film scripts. It's actually kind of fun to put yourself in a box and find the way out using only the resources at hand. Plus, you'll stay under budget.
We shot the entire thing in 2 nights. Mariah, who played the main character, was with us both nights, and Misha and her husband Joey only came the first night. Misha played the therapist, and Joey played both the monster at the end and the creepy maintenance guy, who was completely based off of Crispin Glover in Back to the Future. I think somebody even commented on that. All of the FaceTime scenes were shot on the iPhone. I had the actors sit in 2 separate rooms, both in our apartment, and play out the scene in real time. Doing it this way allowed the actors to actually interact with one another, making it feel way more realistic. We had a couple of Rode mics hanging on stands above them, which made recording sound a lot easier. It was nice having each of their videos recorded separately, because I was able to sync them up with the audio and cut back and forth whenever I wanted. I could also resize the frame, zoom in, pretty much manipulate the video layers any way I needed. Getting the blood dripping from the wall was surprisingly simple. We just had Victoria use a syringe filled with fake blood, which she squeezed into the wall hole. Sounds weird and gross, but that's just what it was. To get these shots inside the vent, we just bought a similar vent at Home Depot, along with these sheets of metal. We very crudely clipped and taped it all together to make our own shitty vent. I was able to fit the dolly inside so that we could add some simple camera movement. It looked ridiculous on the outside, but inside it was good enough. Just like me. The most difficult shot was this one, where the picture frames move along the wall. We attached fishing line to each picture frame, and then had Victoria hold the other end like a puppeteer. I was able to remove the fishing line in After Effects using a combination of masking and a simple wire remover effect, which kind of blurs and autofills the area where the wire is visible. This is basically how they remove wires on bigger budget movies, like when someone flies through the air. This shot of the monster in the mirror was just Victoria standing on a box of kitty litter wearing a monster mask. We added some reflector tape to her eyes just so that they would glow. To make the smiley face grow on the mirror and the ceiling, first we would film an empty plate with no smiley face. Then, without touching the camera, we made the smiley face using paper mache and spray paint. Once I had both video clips, I could then easily reveal the smiley face with a circle effect. I roughened the edges a bit, and that was it. For the shot where Mariah's eyes go red, I tracked the motion of her eyes in Premiere and applied a simple color balance effect, which allowed me to change the color of her eyes to anything. I actually have an in-depth tutorial on how to do this effect on my other channel, Cineguac. I'll leave a link in the description. For the final shot, Victoria put makeup on Joey and poured a bunch of Hershey's chocolate syrup in his mouth, which is how he got that gross black drool. And then he just leaned into frame and flipped the phone over. And that was pretty much it. Victoria was turning on and off the lights, and I added a simple glitch effect in Premiere. Really scary stuff. And of course, the music was done by Robot Disco Puma at his studio in Miami. I've said it before, I'll say it again. If you need music scoring, he's pretty great.